When everyone's crying trauma, what happens to the real survivors? Everything is abuse or trauma now. This TikTokified version of trauma is making it harder for victims of real abuse to be seen, believed, and supported. When you call a tough conversation emotional abuse or a trauma response, you're not empowering people. You're erasing the stories of those who actually survived hell and back. The woman who was molested by a family member now has to compete for space with someone who's crying over their parents saying no or politics. And this is what happens when we romanticize trauma. We stop protecting the people who actually need it, and it silences the real stories, and it teaches the world to doubt everyone and makes everyone a victim. So no, not all pain is trauma, and not everyone who disagrees with you is your abuser, because when everyone all of a sudden becomes victims and now speak louder than real survivors, the whole system breaks.
I'm actually speechless. We have never lived in an age before this one. This is unprecedented, where we are able to share the things that we once carried so much shame over because of people like me actually out here talking about the things that we don't have to be ashamed of anymore. We don't measure trauma. The real survivors, the real trauma victims. So I guess emotional violence to her, emotional abuse, that doesn't qualify. Or maybe it qualifies if she defines it as such. Stop talking about what happened to you, what traumatized you. You're taking time away from somebody else. You're stealing somebody else's voice. What utter BS. Christina Crawford was more emotionally abused than physically abused. The incidence of abuse that she went through was more emotional, reading that book, watching the movie. And by the way, when I watched that movie, I found 15 scenes in that movie that were almost identical to what my mother did to me. That let me know that I wasn't alone. That's what happens to survivors of abuse, to trauma survivors. We know that we're not alone. And the more that we know we're not alone, the easier it is for us to talk about it. And the easier it is to hold space for each and every one of us who is able to come forward and find our voice. And to even hold another space for people who are in the shadows just watching and healing silently. This person is a coach of fucking what? Silence? Go back in the closet. Stop talking. Her brother's estranged from her. I wonder why. She felt that her mother had a special relationship with her sister. And she got over it. She worked it out. She saw her mother as a human. So, I don't know at what point that was before her mother passed away. She carries guilt, I think, for the fact that, I'm basing it on a video of hers that I saw, for the fact that her father had called her and she didn't call him back and then he passed away, which I'm very sorry for. That's gotta be traumatic. Oh no, I used the T word. What did she say? Romanticizing trauma? What does that even mean? Can somebody tell me what that means? Because I'm not going to Google it right now. I'm thinking, is that like a thing that I'm unaware of? Where are the real survivors? What does that even mean? What qualifies as a real survivor? What qualifies as a real victim in her mind? Who died and made her, almighty? I'm not going to say it, but I bet you know what I'm thinking right now. This is the final video that I'm going to make about her. And I wanted to do this one because this is how people try to silence what's really going on in the world with how emotional violence works, with surviving abuse, particularly from a parent. This is how people try to pressurize people into second guessing their own experience and comparing their experience against somebody else's and going, I shouldn't speak about it because I didn't have it that bad. This is that kind of lingo, that gaslighting that I'm hearing. The thing that a lot of us grow up with, oh, I had it worse. Well, so-and-so had it worse. Well, you had it worse. We cannot measure abuse against one another. We cannot, one another's experiences. We cannot and should not weaponize. She's weaponizing it. That was a Freudian slip. Measure one person's experience of what they find traumatic against somebody else having a similar experience and not finding it traumatic, because it doesn't exist like in a vacuum. It's in a landscape. I said in the other video, and I'll link it back, and this will be a little repetitive. However, I'm going to give the same example. My bangs are driving me crazy. I'm trying to grow them out. I'm going to give the same example. I grew up with a mother who constantly was telling me and showing me that I was damaged goods. She was telling me that everybody knew that I was sick in the head, that there was something wrong with me, that I needed a shrink, that I was lucky she didn't send me to a psych ward, abandon me in other words, that everybody knew, everybody was like in awe of the fact that she kept me around and didn't send me off. Everybody knows I'm damaged goods. This is like a constant thing, messaging and treatment attached to that I grew up with underneath her at her mouth. Okay. Hands didn't seem like the right thing to say. That was traumatic for me because of how it hurt me. Abuse is to cause harm and pain. Trauma is what we end up left with as a reaction to that harm and pain. Would another child find being called damaged goods traumatic? Well, if they lived under my mother, yes. If they lived in an environment where their love cup was filled, where their self-esteem was grown, where they had a sense of identity that was positive, and my mother came along and said, you're damaged goods, I'm sure 99%, I hate absolutes, they would not find that traumatic because they don't have the landscape of what went on around that would allow that to harm them the way that I was harmed by it. So we cannot measure how somebody experiences something that is harmful or even not harmful. We just can't measure. We're not walking around in each other's skin. Not all of us have the same tolerance for pain, for example. You know, I cut my finger or like needles. I'm terrified of them. I go to acupuncture, which is the craziest thing, and I never open my eyes. And just the idea of being stuck with something, like, it freaks me out. I do it when I have to do it. Somebody else, they don't have any relationship with that. It doesn't bother them at all. They're a different person. They're going to receive information in a different way. Something that harms me at a level 10 might be like a level -0 for them. I can't define for somebody else, nor should I, nor would I wouldn't want to, what is abuse to them. It's not quantifiable. I have been through CSA by my grandparents, SA by other individuals because I ended up living on the streets at the age of 13. And fun fact, when I was 12, I was SA. That's how I lost my virginity, because I ran away from home and got in a car with someone. Not my fault. I'm not saying that. My mother tried to unalive me by dropping me out of a 2-story window. I could combine all of those things and none of them touch the damage that was caused to my being from the emotional violence that my mother perpetrated on me. None of it. That has taken the longest to recover from. The unseen abuse, the thing that you can't provide like evidence of. There's no scars on the outside. And this person has the audacity to try to say something about we're taking the oxygen, the space from other real trauma survivors. She can fuck right off with that. Yes, I am snarky, sparky times a zillion right now. The more of us that speak, please don't attach meaning to that. The more we speak out, the more we shed a light on what emotional violence looks like, on abuse, on abusers, on patterns of behavior, the more people we're going to keep safe, the more people we empower to speak out, the less abuse will happen. Do you know why? Because some of these abusers will go, there's actually going to be a moment where I might get caught because they're not going to do the right thing. I might need to be a little bit more careful about this. This is going to have a backlash in a way that I don't think people are really paying attention to. And maybe that's my optimism. I like to think that the more that we expose abuse, the less it's going to happen, the less supply to abusers there will be, because we speak out earlier, and that means that that person is outed earlier, which means that they have less access to future victims. I mean, just all sorts of positive things come from us sharing our experiences. It's like a gigantic group therapy. And there's been more than a time or two where somebody has reached out to me outside of my practice and said, thank you for giving a voice to this. I can talk about this now. Or I just told my best friend of 30 years, I had somebody walk up to me and tell me that, things that I've been carrying around, because when I saw you speak, I realized it wasn't my shame. That's the power of speaking out. Thank you for being here. I'm done with her. If there's one you want me to cover, I'll cover it, but I think I prefer to be done with her. I'll do it for you though, because it's not causing me damage. It's just like, it's a lot of energy. I need to protect my peace. If you saw the last video, you'll know. And by last, I'm going to link them all together in the description of the video. You don't have to go searching around. If you want to see more of her shenanigans, I don't know what to call them, her coaching, it's all going to be linked together. So anyway, have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you. By speaking out, we heal together. I find this very, very healing for myself. This helps me process some things that I've been through. It gives me a new lens sometimes on things that I didn't connect the dots for. And it's just been an amazing journey to be able to be here with you and to have your support. So I appreciate you all very much. Thank you.